Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Nightman Season 2, Episode 21, Nightwoman Returns. So this is my actual favorite episode in the entire Nightman series. I remember when I was like a teen growing up and stuff. While this is not like the best show ever or the best superhero show ever, because of like special effects and writing and sometimes acting and choreography and stuff like that, because it was in the late 90s, early 2000s when they made this show, and this was very rare because they didn't have really no superhero shows at this time. Probably the last superhero show before this was probably Superboy in the like the Lois and Clark, the Adventures of Superman, Lois and Clark, or whatever it was called, in the 90s. So that was probably the last time we ever had like a superhero show and stuff. And so this is from like Marvel when they acquired Malibu Studios or Malibu Comics or whatever it was called. And I remember when watching this episode, I'm like, oh cool, Nightwoman's back and everything. But a lot has changed with her. Mainly her appearance, because now she's played by a completely different actress. She's played by Deanna Milligan in the second season, because in the first she was played by Jennifer Campbell. And that's because the show first was created in America, but then by the second season they went to Canada and they started recasting people, just like Raleigh and everything. He got recast. And so, like, I'm like, oh, her appearance changed. And honestly, I like this Nightwoman better than the first. The first one was kind of like, I don't know, she wasn't terrible, but she just didn't do anything for me. But I just remember I really liked this episode and stuff, because with this episode, I noticed the writing was better, the acting was better, the choreography was better, the action choreography was better. Some of the CGI was even better. I'm just like, wow, they really stepped their game up towards the very end of like the series, because there's only one episode left before it got canceled. And I was all like, why couldn't they do this earlier? Because the action was actually pretty good. Once again, it doesn't last that long, and it's mostly just him standing waiting for somebody to come towards him because his suit is so big and bulky and rubbery. But it was a lot more better, like action wise and stuff. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, this is a really good episode. Like, there's actually a really good villain with a really cool power set. And her acting's like really good instead of cheesy like some of the other people who like guest star on this show. And I just remember being very thrilled by this. Now, not only did Nightwoman's appearance change, but her last name changed. So it's Lori now, and her new last name is Jarvis now in season 2. But in season 1, it was Lori Shift. And like her father in the first season was named Dr. Jarvis Swift. And so I guess like the writers didn't really pay attention that well and just kind of like, rushed it. And they are like, oh, we see Jarvis, so let's just like call her that. So now her name is Lori Jarvis and everything, which is kind of weird. Either that or it's just an alias she decided to go by. But I don't know why she'll go by an alias, because when she wears her superhero costume, she doesn't never ever wear like a mask and stuff. And so like a little history on her. So basically in the first season, she was a cop. And this bad guy threw her off a balcony and she became paraplegic. So her doctor, Dr. Jarvis Swift, created an exosuit for her that gave her mobility, but he also added some special features to make her a superhero, because she used to be a cop, and so she still wanted to fight crime and all this other stuff. But she can wear her exosuit underneath her regular clothes, but her exosuit is very different. Now technically it is black when it's offline, but when you turn it on, it illuminates blue. And it's kind of like space, so it illuminates like a planet. Well, has that blue like aura around it and stuff. And also, like, it has, like, it pulsates with, like, star sparkles and everything. And that's pretty, like, good CGI at that time, because she's constantly moving around and they have to constantly make those things move around with it. So that was no easy task back in those days. And so, like, so because of that, her exosuit gives her the ability to walk and everything. And so, and she has gauntlets too, and her gauntlets are able to shoot out lightning pulses, and they're able to, like, have like a grappling hook and stuff. And so this is kind of cool, because that's like a typical superhero origin. Some used to be cops, and then something happened to them, and then, and then, like, they gain power. This is based off a comic book and stuff, but I don't think she's in the comic. I know Johnny and Nightman's in the comic, but I don't know if she's in the comic or she was just created for this show. Now, one interesting thing is that, there's always the female counterpart to, like, a superhero that takes on their name. And normally their costume is similar, Batgirl, Supergirl, but her costume is completely different from Johnny's and stuff. And so, like, I don't know, man. It's just like, this was always, like, my favorite, like, episode out of, like, the others and stuff. And it lasted for 2 seasons and stuff. And I think it's like 44 episodes. And this is, like, literally my favorite one. Because the thing about this show is cheesy. The dialogue's cheesy. And it's just like, it was back in the time when they was really experimenting with, like, superhero stuff. So, it's late 90s, early 2000s, But I was also very impressed by, like, the villain played by Kim Hawthorne and stuff. I think she voiced someone in Spider-Man Unlimited, the redhead lady. And she plays a voodoo woman named Cassandra. Now, this is so interesting, because, like, this is your old school television movie wise voodoo, where it's all, like, evil and stuff like that. However, just like I said, when reviewing Cloak and Dagger season 1, go watch that video, I didn't know voodoo was actually a African religion, and it's not all scary evil like the way they depict it in TV and movies and stuff. And so Cloak and Dagger was the first time it was ever depicted good. And I was very shocked and surprised and stuff. And, TV really can teach you some things, but sometimes you can't always believe what you see. And so in this old school version of a television show, they depicted it as evil and stuff. So with this episode, we see Cassandra and a man named Raul Martinez. She's performing some type of voodoo ritual dance and everything. Don't know why, but soon we'll later figure out. So she's trying to figure out who is the traitor. And after doing her, and she's actually magical too. And so after doing her spell, she realized this one man is the traitor. But the traitor of what exactly? So he's about to be executed until something happens. What happens is Nightwoman breaks into, like, this mansion of a home with a woman named Angela. And so they go upstairs in the mansion. She fights her way through guards. She's, like, zapping people left and right. That's what I really like about her powers, man. They really did her lightning effect very great, because, like, she's just blasting people left and right, and it looks very realistic. The problem with Nightman and his laser vision is that it comes out so slow, but in this episode it actually comes out fast, which I really like. And so after fighting their way through some goons, Angela picks up a baby, her baby, and so they escape. And then soon as, like, they escape, they heard, like, the guards heard, like, a noise in the mansion. So here comes Raul and stuff and Cassandra, and they realize the baby has been taken. It's his baby. He is kind of like second in line, the future, like, dictator of a fictional place called San Marcos. And, like, his father is the ruling person, so he's next in line. And his baby was the heir. So he's one of those dictator evil type people, and she just wanted to get her baby away from him and get far away. So when they get near, like, I guess like the jungle or the woods or whatever, or near the coastline, Nightwoman is a little pissed because she tells Angela, why didn't you tell me that your child was like next in heir, like the throne and everything. And Angela was like, she was scared. She's all like, she didn't think Nightwoman would take the job, and she's all like, I would have taken the job. She just would have been better prepared. And that's the honest God truth, because like she had no idea she would be going up against all these guards with all these guns and like all this other stuff. Because the thing about her now is that in the first season she wanted revenge on the man who like hurt her and stuff. But now she has a business where she takes care of women. If a woman's in need of danger, she'll do like the superhero thing, you know what I'm saying? So she has her own business and stuff. And so this woman just desperately needs to get out the country with her baby. So she tells her she needs to call a friend of hers, and they need to go and find him and stuff. And of course, that's Nightman. And because the thing about Nightwoman, she can handle herself, but her exosuit doesn't give her strength like Nightman, and it doesn't give her the ability to fly like Nightman. And it doesn't have all this high-tech stuff like Nightman's suit. Because the only thing she can do is grapple hook, shoot people with lasers, or lightning, I should say, and that's about it. Her suit just pulsates, but it doesn't do anything much. So they head to America. And there we see the man himself, Nightman. And this would really impress me when I watched it over 20 years ago. His action was really good when he was beating up the thugs and everything. And so, like, I was very impressed because he's throwing more kicks now, with something he never really did, because that suit is very bulky and stuff. It's like one of those Batman rubber suits. And the color of the suit has changed. Not in the second season per se, but towards the end of the second season. It used to be just a basic gray color, but now it's like a dark pewter gun kind of like color. Almost black. And so after beating them up, he goes back to his night job, which is a jazz player. He plays the saxophone. And so the song that they're playing is really good, man. The singer, oh my God, man, she is amazing. I didn't know who this woman was, but she's a singer in real life, but she's also an actress. I can't pronounce her name. Kira Garel. Saskia. And so she's Jamaican born with her parents, but she's half Spanish and half Chinese. And she can sing and she can dance and stuff. And so in comes Lori, and she's talking to Raleigh and everything, and he's happy to see her because he hasn't saw her since last season. So when Johnny sees her, it's like a nice little reunion and stuff. And Johnny asked straight up, yo, where your wheelchair at? Because she's paraplegic, remember? And so they give a very fast explanation. They just basically say that her dad came up with some kind of experimental surgery and they gave her back the use of her legs. And honestly, I think this took away from her character arc because, she was in a wheelchair, she was disabled, but she was also a superhero. So that would have been great representation. Kind of like Daredevil and his blindness, Now, the actress who's playing Lori, the new Nightwoman, Deanna, she was in the episode of Sliders, Jillian and the Spirits. And her husband played Banish on the show. And Banish was always like, oh, dude, like that. And stuff. And so I totally recognized this actress. That's why I like her so much and stuff. And so she tells him, hey, I kind of kidnapped the baby and everything, and I need your help. And so, he's a superhero, and he plays a saxophone by day, and he fights butt by night, being Nightman. And he's more than happy to help and everything. He understands this Angela woman is in need. And so Angela and the baby keep going for so many different places. First they're at Raleigh's, then they're at Johnny's, then they're at the neighbors, then they're at the place where they play music and stuff. Because, Cassandra and Raoul, they're hot on the trail. So Cassandra just needs something of the babies, and she does her little voodoo thing, and she realizes he's in America and stuff. So both of them head on over to America. And then at some point, Cassandra comes walking in to I think it's the House of Soul. That's where they play music at. Now Cassandra always wears white, and I love her hair. It's amazing. And so like she always wears white. So she's wearing more not so much her voodoo jungle dress, but now like, you know, a business attire. And of course Riley's hot for her and everything. And she's kind of like flirting with him a little bit. And the reason why she's there because she senses the baby. But Johnny, the thing I didn't tell you, Johnny has powers of his own. He has the ability to see dark forces and everything because he was struck by a lightning in the last season, and it was kind of like a experimental alien type lightning type thing. So he sensed that her and Raul came to America, and he made Angela and the baby get out. And so like he knows something's like afoot, you know what I'm saying? And so like, so Cassandra and everything, so she wants to take out some of the competition. So she's doing her voodoo thing, and she has a lock of like, you know, I guess the mother's hair from like her brush and stuff. So she does her voodoo spell, and she's heating things up to where Angela literally passes out, and she is just out of it, burning up, and has to be rushed to the hospital. And so now they know for a fact that yeah, trouble is in town, and they have to do something about it. And you know, so they have to help her out any way they can. And so like Raul, he's doing his diplomatic stuff to try to find the baby as well. So he goes to the police place with Lieutenant Brianna Branca. I hate saying her name. They gave her two names hard to pronounce. Brawny, yes, Brawny Branca. And so that's the detective of the second season. There was a different cop in the first season. And so her and Johnny, they don't have no type of love thing, but she always goes to him for advice because his dad used to be a cop, and also trouble always finds him. So she don't know he's Nightman, but she always goes to him for help to find out what's going on in the city. And so like they never did the love they want they thing, thank God, because I hate that. So they never dated. But she does have a bit of a crush on him, and he has a bit of a crush on her. But they never really do anything about it other than her getting jealous. And she gets jealous a lot in this episode. And so he's all like, you know, I'm looking for my baby. I'm thinking this dude named Johnny might have him. So she's not really wanting to take the case until she gets a phone call, and then turns out that his dad went to like the mayor, no, went to the president, and then went to the mayor, then went to the police chief, and then went to her to take on this case. So when she does ask Johnny and everything about like, does he know anything about an Angela or Lori or a baby? Of course he plays like coy and everything, you know what I'm saying? Like he ain't gonna just like give the baby up just like that, you know what I'm saying? Because this is Johnny we're talking about. And so Raleigh is tasked with babysitting, and it's your typical male, you know, babysitting, like, you know, kid type thing. You know, he's there, he's talking to the baby, and so like it's funny because like he smells poop, so he goes to change the diaper, and of course the baby pees in his face. And so when Lori and Johnny come back, Raleigh thinks he did a good job with the diaper until he picks the baby up and the diaper falls off and the baby's completely naked. So Lori takes over after that and stuff. And so like, you know, they now have to wonder what they're going to have to do with Raul and also that of Cassandra and stuff. So Cassandra, she goes and she visits Angela in the hospital doing her little voodoo thing. Her facial expressions are always on point. And so she finds out where the baby is, and it's with like, you know, Johnny and them. So then, you know, she has to go take care of him. And so the actress who plays Cassandra, I really like how she plays this voodoo like priestess, like witch type lady. Her movement with her hands, the way she dances, like her facial expressions, she's really being like taking this serious and stuff. But it's something I can't say with a lot of the other villains of this show and stuff because like their stars, they kind of just like ham it up a little bit, but she's really giving a performance. Well, at some point in time, Cassandra and Raul tracks them down and they go to get the baby. But Lori's there. She suits up and she takes out some bad guys. And Johnny also suits up and he flies to help like assist in everything. And so they take down the bad guys and Raul and Cassandra are kind of concerned because they're like, who is this dude dressed the way he is? And so Cassandra, she just like sniffs and she realizes, oh, she smelt that scent before. It's Johnny. So she needs to take him out. So the cops show up and they realize that the bad guys who like, attacked that home are security guards of San Marcos and everything. So now Bronny knows that Johnny knows something, but he still don't want to say. And so it's weird. You think the cops would be more into this, or at least look into like, the dictator dude and all this other stuff. That's why the cops are never written that well in this show. And so when Johnny's all like, yo, man, I don't know nothing. And she's like, all right, I believe you. And it's just kind of like, I want her to be more hard nosed, but she was never written that way. So at some point in time, Cassandra comes to like the House of Soul and she talks to Johnny. And when she shakes his hand, he senses something, but she's talking to him and, they're kind of clicking. And this makes Raleigh jealous and everything because he liked Cassandra and he always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to the women. And so Bronny comes in and then of course she gets jealous and everything and Johnny them just kind of like blowing them off. Well, at some point in time, Cassandra goes to his place and she takes a lock of his hair. And so he tells Raleigh, oh, she ain't using none of her magic on me. I was just completely faking it. But was he really? Like, why did he let her cut his hair? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Anyways, so she does her little voodoo dance and everything. And guess what she made? A voodoo doll of Nightman. She's stabbing it and sticking it. And Johnny is feeling the effects as he's suiting up and about to put on his mask. He's in dire pain and everything. And he falls, collapses to the ground while Raleigh is there to try to help him. And so during this time, he suit up because what's her name? Lori is missing, and Angela tells her that Lori said she was gonna take care of some business. Meaning she was gonna take care of Cassandra herself. So all suited up, Nightwoman is there, and her and Cassandra duke it out with their like firepower and stuff. Cassandra's using fire flames, while as of course Nightwoman is using her electricity power, and it's really cool. The CGI is really good on this. And so at first, Nightwoman gets the upper hand and she takes the Nightman voodoo doll and takes the flames out until Cassandra gets up and takes her out. Now, when she gets taken out, her suit deactivates and it turns completely black. So after that, she's tied up by some guards. No longer feeling the effects of the fail, Johnny gets up and he goes to business. So he finds Nightwoman and he frees her and everything. He literally kicks down the door. Now, kicking down the door, I didn't like that because the whole door literally just flew off and kind of like glided to the bad guys and knocked them out. I didn't really like that effect. And so like after that, since his suit has like, super strength, he's able to hold her up with one hand as they fly in the night. Now, I don't like the CGI on the flying in this episode. Sometimes the flying is okay in some episodes and sometimes it's really terrible. Here is really terrible. So they take out the car with Raul and Cassandra and everything. And then next thing you know, it's time to whoop on some bad guys again. And so like, she's taking bad guys out. He kicks the crap out of this one dude's gun and just like knocks some guys out. And so then all of a sudden he goes to Cassandra and she's trying to use her spell on him, like trying to like hypnotize him and everything. But it's not working. And he just grabs her necklace and tells her like your reign of evil is like over. Now, here's my problem with this. In nowhere in this episode did it say her powers came from her necklace. So how did he know taking the necklace off will render her useless of her powers? It would have been nice if they would have said something. It would have been nice if we saw some CGI coming from her necklace or him crushing it or something, you know? But there's no indication that her powers came from her necklace. So I don't like that. That's one of my huge flaws in this episode, and really my only flaw for the most part. And so with the day being saved and everything, Angela got her baby back, and it's great. She's so happy and everything. And the United States is going to help her build a life here in America and get her away from San Marcos. So funny, because in reality they don't do crap like that. And so like, as we all now know, and so like somehow is the dictator dude and his dad's been overthrown in their country. I don't know how, but the cop lady tells Raleigh that. And so Lori and Johnny, they say their goodbyes and they give themselves a good felt hug because they miss each other, you know, they're friends. And of course, as always, Bronny is jealous and everything. I do like the fact they never dated in the show, Bronny and Johnny, but you know, the whole will they won't they be is so scarce that you can't really tell until she gets jealous and stuff. And of course the show ended, so you never know what will really happen to them. But all in all, this is my favorite episode and stuff. I just think things came together a whole lot better than it normally did. You know, the acting was a bit better. The CGI was, the choreography, the fighting, the pacing, direction, all that stuff. Because sometimes it can get a bit in the show, you know what I'm saying? And because like it was like low budgeted and stuff like that. So it always kind of dragged. I mean, when I saw this episode, I was very surprisingly happy years ago when I saw it. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.